He's a man that's been in the news a lot, on the underground news with Rebel Media and InfoWars. That's Tommy Robinson, aka Neil Lennon. Um, he's an outspoken person that's come in from the extreme right. He's become more centred, I would say, and he really is quite valuable to society in terms of making constructive criticisms about a lot of different issues that are going on, whether it's religion, politics, police, society. These are all really fundamental, important um, parts of society, parts of living, and it's interesting because a lot of what he's saying is right, is valid. There's a lot of problems, um, and I just think it needs more people like him to raise an issue. Um, in a way, as what he's done is he's become less political and he's become more of a journalist. And why not? I mean, that's the way he's doing it, and hats off to him. He's really making an impression. His book's #1 on the Amazon list, and you know, the world needs in many ways people like that to actually get things done and put their opinions across with evidence, um, just so that everyone can get along. I mean, he's come from a minority type of thinking with the EDL anyway, and it's like, and he's also had a lot of connections with NF groups, and he's also got connections in a way with extreme Muslims. He knows of them, he knows about them, um, and I think it's important that that side of society is sorted out, because when a big disaster happens, when it's a bombing or a van or anything like that, and people get killed and injured, majority of those people that get killed and injured, they're just, whether they're Muslim or Christian or whatever, they're just making the best out of it, and they're part of the majority, they aren't the minority. Um, and I think that really needs to be addressed and sorted out in terms of when these things happened, how people's stereotypes are lifted even more, and whole classes of people get blamed and get looked at differently, and that's really bad. Um, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have got a Muslim mayor of London, for example, and Muslim people in politics, because you have to think twice and think, well, no, they're not all like those extremists. They actually want life to function. They do want people to get along, and they do anyway. They have social lives, and that is very important. Um, but let's not lose sight that, especially in London, it's multicultural, and 99 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, people get along really well out there and function. I know I've lived there and commuted in London and worked there for many years, and even though there's minor problems, generally, considering the amount of people, the amount of backgrounds, um, people function really well, get along, and get the job done. Um, and that's what it's about, and I think that's what London's about now. It has embraced the world, um, and the work, many people from around the world are there, and I think that's great. Um, but let's not lose sight of still having it very important, this country's identity. For example, the national flag, the St George's flag, what St George himself is about. Let's not lose sight of these important British things, because it doesn't matter where you're from, especially if you work and live in London. If you're in another country and you've lived here long enough, and you've either been born here or you've spent enough years working and living here, then you are English. So you have to you have an obligation to have, part of your life is to embrace that English culture. And I think that is a valid point what Tommy makes, that he's worried that we're losing our culture. Well, it needs to be the other way around. With so many different um, ethnic minorities here, they have to feel warm and welcome. They have to feel British. They have to be British, and they cannot be British if the British people, the ones that have been born here and that have a lineage of British people, British citizens in their family tree. Let's learn from them as well. I mean, I say this because my family tree isn't fully British. I'm half Mediterranean, um, as well as half English. So I kind of like, when I get the opportunity to respect English people that I know, um, that have got that blood in them, and respect that, because at the end of the day, in a way, they've got more rights to this land, to this country, and because it's just in their blood, just in that Celtic part of them, or the whole of them, in many respects. So you've got to respect that if you live in this country, and you've got some sort of foreign blood in you. But at the same time, yeah, I can see it, because I can see that half of what we need to learn from the English people isn't really coming through properly through forms of media and film. But it's still there, and it's something that's to be embraced, the English way, um, and to identify with and be. But obviously, be honest in terms of whether you're full-blooded English or whether you're half-blooded or quarter-blooded English, but you're still living here. There's that to consider as well, which I do. But yeah, rock on Tommy. He's made some very valid points, and he's not scared. He can look after himself, as we've seen. He's had a few punch-ups with different people over the years, which we've seen. But at the end of the day, I like to think that he's mellowing out, and he's chilling out, and he's working with the system better and getting what he deserves from it. And more to the point, getting his points across. And I think we all need to be like that. We will have to question things and criticise things when something's so wrong. You have to make it right somehow. You have to sort it out. But if people don't have these discussions, how can you sort out anything? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I just wanted to sort of say that about him, really. So please like and subscribe, and I'll be releasing another